taking a look at Sky Mavis. They're raising $115 million in a round led by Binance to reimburse victims of the $625 million Ronin Network attack. The money, along with Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity funds, will be used to refund users. Joining us now to discuss is Aleksander Larsen, COO and co-founder of Sky Mavis. Welcome there, Aleksander. Thanks for joining us. So first, I'm sorry about what happened. I see that the Sky Mavis, the Axie, the Ronin communities have been coming together, regrouping on Twitter, commenting on support for one another, which has been very enlightening. But first of all, could you tell us about the attack, what Ronin is in relation to Sky Mavis and Axie, for viewers who are unaware of what this exploit was all about, which is now, I believe, the greatest exploit in crypto right now?
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here to shed some light on the situation. It's been a couple of rough days over here at Sky Mavis, but happy to say that we pulled through, and really just want to give a big shout out to the team at Sky Mavis and also to the community that we have who have been with us since the beginning, and of course is a big reason for us actually being able to pull through this. Going to Ronin, or maybe starting with Axie at first, we've been building in the space for over 4 years now, and over that time, we've been building both the Axie game and also the underlying infrastructure that's required to go to market with it. And over the course of those years, there are always trade-offs, right? How do you go to market the fastest versus what kind of security levels do you actually need? And when you're kind of going 100 miles per hour, sometimes it goes a little bit heavy around the bend, and I think that's exactly what happened here. So, lesson learned. We're taking full responsibility for this internally, and we're the team that pushed to go down this path of progressive decentralization, and those trade-offs made us vulnerable for this attack. But I do want to point out, really early in this conversation that this attack was not related to any smart contract issue or anything like that, which you might normally find in the DeFi space. This was actually a social engineering attack, which then again allowed an attacker to enter some of our systems. And then we had another human error later, or I would say back in December. So it was kind of a double whammy there on the human side, which of course we're taking massive steps to remedy. So lesson learned, moving forward, security is the number one priority here. Basically, we're going back to the crypto adage, trust, but verify. That's pretty much where we're headed right now.
All right. So from what I understand, the Ronin attacker obtained 5 of the 9 validator keys that are responsible for securing the Ronin network. And so you're saying that that's a social engineering attack, which is really interesting. What can be done to prevent this kind of thing happening in the future?
Yeah, I think just to be very clear about that too. Immediately after the attack, we took a response there, and now we've onboarded several new validators, and the required validators to actually sign a transaction is now in the 90%. So where we actually prioritized efficiency, so you needed to have 5 out of 9. We're now up to I believe it is 10 out of 11, and then we're also getting more and more new validators shortly. So kind of going more specifically into the attack itself, what can actually be done. I think from our perspective, what we're working on here is that any human being can be exploited basically at any time. It's almost impossible to avoid a situation where you click a random link, or someone is phishing you, or you make a small mistake. And if you do have then too many access levels, and then that person can get into your systems, and then by there travel through the entire system, then you have a massive problem. So for everyone who's building decentralized applications, it's not only the smart contracts, it's everything that's behind it. Because even if you do have these smart contracts secured, there's oftentimes some kind of way for people to influence the smart contracts if they get a hold of the private keys or the owners of those who own them, so that they can actually make changes at a smart contract level too. So I think this is something the industry will grow from, and especially also of course Axie. I think just from a experience perspective, it's hard to explain the feeling of waking up and suddenly your CTO calls you and it talks about the bridge. It's every the nightmare of every blockchain developer or smart contract. So, what we can just say is that moving forward, this is a massive priority for us, and it should be for the entire space. It should be a waking up, call.
So Ronin, correct me if I'm wrong, the Ronin network it runs parallel, or is its own blockchain that is a bridge to Ethereum? Did it being a bridge have a factor in it being more vulnerable or an exploit? Because we are seeing this with other hacks.
Yeah, so when we're looking at blockchain technology, one of the strengths to actually making your own blockchain is, of course, you can get increased scalability. But what you are missing oftentimes is liquidity from, for example, the broader crypto space. So you could either make a fiat bridge into your own blockchain, or you could connect it to Ethereum, usually via a bridge. And what happens there is that bridge then becomes the access point for all of the Ether or all of the money that's flowing into the blockchain itself, which then again is oftentimes a weaker point in terms of the security. So the bridge is, basically the one chink in the armor that I think all developers should be very, very aware of. Of course, now from a Sky Mavis perspective, as we are, going to redeploy the bridge, it will be with, several new upgrades. And one of the most interesting things that we're looking at right now is actually kind of a circuit breaker system. So what I would say is that if there is too much money that's being withdrawn at one specific time, you would shut down the bridge so that the validators can actually come in and verify what's happening here. So you don't end up in a situation where, even if there is an exploit, everything could potentially get withdrawn. So, these are just one of the things that we're looking into right now. And of course, everything needs to be severely audited. But kind of going back into why we made it in the first place, it's to scale Axie and to scale other blockchain type of games. And I think now, everyone in the team was looking forward to shipping the new game, Axie Origin, which we just had an early access yesterday, and that is really kind of what we're aiming for moving forward right now.
In terms of the money that was taken, so who are the victims? Is it the treasury, or is it Axie players? Axie, of course, for folks out there, is one of the most popular play to earn games out there. Who are the victims, and what happens to them?
Yeah, sure. So maybe mentioning some quick metrics here. Axie Infinity today has about 1.5 million players every day in the Axie Infinity Classic game, which is the one that we released 2 years ago. Now, yesterday, we just had our early access point with Axie Origin, which actually had 300,000 testers, unique players come in on day one. And that's, without any token incentive and without any, way to play on mobile. So, these are the players that have deposited funds into Ronin Network, who trusted us. And, we failed to live up to that trust, which is why we're also now, refilling the bridge based on our own funds, and then also raising outside funds to do that, which I think actually is the first time that many, possibly a company has done that. When we see hacks in the past, oftentimes, it's kind of this is crypto, it's dangerous, kind of live with it. That's oftentimes the crypto ethos. But, the way that we see it, we have to, go, be the gold standard here. Users shouldn't lose their funds in a situation like this. It's our responsibility. So, that's why we did it this way. Even though, when we're looking at what's outstanding right now, it's the Axie Infinity treasury itself. So parts of that is currently under collateralized. And as we recover potential funds from the hacker, those money will be put right into the treasury over time. So of course, we have hope that some funds can be recovered, but from an Axie perspective, while it's nice to hope, we have to live in the real world. We can't rely on someone else randomly depositing money back to us, or the police, doing their job. I mean, that would be amazing, and we do trust that they potentially can recover something. But overall, we have to face the music here, and that's exactly what we did.
You bring up a really interesting point that just in February, Jump Trading also backstopped an exploit on the wormhole bridge between Solana and Ethereum. They filled it with $320 million. And now we're seeing this from venture capital money. And I see that you've involved A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, Dialect Paradigm, and Excel participate in this run. Why are we seeing VCs willing to stop stopgap these kind of hacks with their own funds? And is this a new trend that you see happening in the industry?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a new trend actually. So, I can only speak to what happened with Sky Mavis and Axie. So, over time, when we raised our Series B round, for example, we didn't actually need the funds to operate the company. We've been profitable for a long time. What we did need, however, was advice, was on how to actually scale and build a company that can last for decades. And that's actually why we took in some of these investors. And big shout out to of course, Binance for participating in the round and being there when it was needed the most. And so, of course, A16Z, Excel, Dialectic, and Animoca brands. All of these guys have been massive, especially in the way that we handled the crisis. And I think as they also saw how the team was operating internally, how we were handling it, like there was not that too much of emotional damage, I would say. Of course, I would say we took one to the chin, and we put our emotions somewhere we couldn't find them immediately, and then really just got to work. Like, what are the problems that need to be solved? How can we solve these problems? Is it possible to even solve the problems? And kind of going from that point.
Why were the VCs willing to raise these monies to stopgap this exploit?
I can only assume that they believe in Sky Mavis, and they believe in our vision. What we're trying to build here. So in Sky Mavis, we think that players and people around the world deserve to own their own data, and data is also digital game items. These things, NFTs, they can represent many things. We're there for the NFT game items for now, and then we'll see what happens in the future. And we're also bringing, actually usage of crypto all over the world. So when we look at our data, for example, there's 50% of them have never even had any crypto before. 25% of them have never even had a wallet before, or a bank account before. So that this is real adoption happening in front of their eyes, and I think that's why they are so bullish.
Right, almost like a hazard of business. I wonder if there's what the latest is on tracking the hacker. I understand that they moved 2,000 ETH recently to a privacy tool, Tornado Cash, earlier this week. Also, I heard about them moving cash to centralized exchanges, which would be very strange because there's a lot of KYC involved in centralized exchanges, know your customer rules, so that the hacker could be potentially found out. We've seen over the past couple of months, the Bitfinex hackers allegedly, or launderers at least, have been arrested, and the DAO hacker potentially also named. So I wonder, do you have a sense whether or not these hackers will be found? Because everything is on chain.
And I think that's what's so great about this, right? People can track the money, and we can see when Tornado Cash is being used. So, if I would never touch Tornado Cash, ever with any of my on-chain funds. I think that is tainted for a really long time, especially considering the amount of money that these guys will have to launder to get back into the system somehow. So of course, there are many firms tracking it. Chainalysis, of course, among the primary ones, and then law enforcement. I can't go specifically into that ongoing investigation, but we are aware of some funds that are leaving, and of course we have hopes that funds can be recovered, which would be a massive win for I would say the Axie Infinity nation. This is a kind of a direct attack on everything that we've been trying to build over time. So, I think it's a noble cause for the crypto space to get together and try to help us find this. But from a Sky Mavis perspective, we have to deal with reality, right? We can only assume that some funds will come back, some will not, and kind of move forward from here and really just focus on what we came here for, which is to build amazing games and products. So that's it.